Thank you all for joining us at our annual summit in the US. This is our first gathering post-COVID in the US. And we are so happy to have you here. In the audience we have today our customers, our channel partners whom we work with very closely in deploying our solutions to our customers, and analysts and GRC experts, technology experts, and our MetricStream experts. We're very happy to have you all here. And as customers, you represent some of the leading brands across industries and around the globe. And we're delighted to have you here, and we're delighted to be working with you and taking input from you and building our products and platform. By way of introduction, I'm Prasad Sabineni. I'm co-CEO of MetricStream. It has been a tremendous journey for me here for the last 2.5 years, working alongside with Gaurav Kapoor, our co-founder and co-CEO, and Gunjan Sinha, our executive chairman. And there's no better place within the risk world than GRC. I happen to be in the industry for many years. It's actually a little bit intimidating standing here and talking about products and technology and GRC, while Paul Shorten here looking at me. I used to work with Paul back then in the day, building systems, risk systems in a large financial service organization, and likewise Beth looking somewhere from there. And it's kind of a little bit intimidating, but I'll get over it. Okay, let's get things going. As you heard, the future of GRC is connected. Everything is connected these days, right? And we launched our ConnectedGRC in the beginning of last year, and it has been a tremendous journey since then. If you think about this GRC, it's a ConnectedGRC. It's really about how it brings together the risk and control and governance functions of an organization from frontline all the way to various lines of defense, and bringing all of that together. And historically, legacy, people looked at, the professionals looked at those risks in a siloed environment, and however, they could not connect those interrelated risks or draw correlations across those risk and compliance, because in the end, they're somewhat related. One risk translates into other risk, and they couldn't figure out how that is happening and what was that correlation and what do they really need to look at and address to really embrace that risk, manage that risk, and thrive on risk. And that's where MetricStream comes into play with our products and with our ConnectedGRC offering. And the ConnectedGRC is built using the 3 core pillars or innovation pillars of cognitive, continuous, and cloud. And cognitive is all about how you leverage your organization's data and utilizing some of the latest technologies, whether it's AI, machine learning, natural language processing, and decipher insights from that data and help you with your risk and decision making. And I'm not going to read through all what's on the slides here, but we are really passionate about our customers, obsessed with our customers. We want to do the right thing for our customers. So I'll illustrate a couple of customer journeys or how the customers are benefiting from this cognitive, continuous, and cloud, if you will. With respect to cognitive, a global humanitarian organization running risk and control libraries around 150 countries plus 150 plus countries utilized our cognitive offering and removing 40% or so their risk and control tests that they were performing redundantly and not bringing standardization, if you will, across all those countries. And that's the power of the cognitive aspect of ConnectedGRC. And on the continuous side, we have made tremendous strides over the last 18 months, if you will, at MetricStream, and not only doing these risk assessments and control tests, are enabling our customers to do those on a continuous basis. And utilizing that, one of the leading healthcare company transformed their quality risk and control assessments from a quarterly time scale to on-demand and real-time and near real-time performance of those risk and control assessments. And with respect to cloud, You all know about cloud. I don't need to stand here and tell you what cloud is all about. And we have witnessed that explosion of growth in the cloud and migration of all the workloads from various organizations for various functions onto the cloud because of the simplicity, elasticity, and the scale it offered. And our product is a true cloud-enabled SaaS offering, and utilizing those capabilities, if you will, a large financial services company offering their financial products in 50+ countries utilized our cloud offering and our reg change management to keep up with the regulations in all those countries and jurisdictions, very flexible and scalable manner, in a timely manner to respond to those regulations, if you will. So these are some of the powerful success stories, if you will, of our ConnectedGRC. ConnectedGRC, when we think of ConnectedGRC, the product offerings of MetricStream are Business GRC, the Cyber GRC, and ESGRC. As I said earlier, Business GRC is all about bringing all the risk and controls of your enterprise risk, your operational risk, your reg compliance, internal audit functions, all of that together, and third-party risk, all of that together as Business GRC. And the next offering is Cyber GRC. Cyber GRC ensures your IT and cyber risk of your digital infrastructure, your entire digital infrastructure. You want to make sure your IT risks and your cyber risks are well managed. So the products that we offer as part of Cyber GRC enable you to do that. And over the last year, we have built what we refer to as ESGRC. Since risk, compliance, governance go hand in hand with environment and sustainability, we named it as ESGRC. ESGRC enables you to collect all the ESG-related data and metrics, calculate those metrics, and report based on various standards, what is referred to as the disclosure reporting frameworks to the regulators. And the regulations are coming, and we have worked and built on this product to help you, to take that leap when those regulations come on. Or in the meantime, some companies are leveraging this ESG offering, if you will, to manage their ESG risks. So those are the three broad offerings, what we refer to as three product lines: Business GRC, Cyber GRC, and ESGRC. Very unique to MetricStream, these products and these product lines and the products underneath are built on top of our modern MetricStream platform that is low code, no code, and with various connectors that come out of the box. And Joy will come and speak to the APIs with 300+ APIs between the platform and the products that we have enabled, help you to deploy the software very seamlessly and configure, and to George's point, build those upgrade-safe extensions to the extent you need to do something unique to your own organization. This has been a tremendous journey for us over the last 18 months, which we have delivered this low-code, no-code platform to our customers, and we are continuing that journey into the future, and into the next 18 months, which I'll come to. This quickly a glimpse of all our product lines and the products that comprise of those product lines. As I discussed, as I talked to you about Business GRC. Business GRC is about integrated risk, compliance, and audit. Historically, the various professionals in those risk and compliance stripes looked at their own risks, but they didn't really look at holistically how to bring all of these integrated risk, compliance, governance across all those areas. That's what Business GRC does, because all these products are built on top of the same platform. And Cyber GRC, it helps you safeguard against your IT and cyber risk. And so the products are IT and cyber policy, IT and cyber compliance, and cyber risk. Moving on. So we have delivered Euphrates. As I said, we are a product SaaS company. we name our releases after rivers. We started our journey back with Arno, Brazos, Colorado, Danube, and late last year, we delivered Euphrates. That's where we modernized our complete platform with low-code, no-code features and all those APIs and the extensions that we have enabled. And continuing that journey, we have launched earlier this year hyper-configured cyber GRC and ESGRC. These are really for mid-markets and out-of-the-box implementations, if you will. You can quickly get it installed, implemented, up and running for small to mid-sized organizations. So we have delivered those features and capabilities. And following that, we have very exciting innovation that is in works that we'll be delivering in November, and a complete refresh of our UI UX refresh, if you will, that will be coming up in March of next year. We'll start delivering in phases from September through the next 6 months following that. And most importantly, the piece in the middle there is I'm very happy to are here to launch Aspire, our knowledge-centric GRC. So what is Aspire, and how are we leveraging this AI, if you will, right? When you look at GRC companies traditionally, they are traditional workflow companies, right? They'll tell you how to do risk assessment, how to do control test, but they don't tell you when to do it and what control test to perform. That's where the optimization comes into play. So we have, based on the cognitive capabilities we have built, we have launched this product, AI or Aspire, rhyming with AI, Aspire, and it takes the insights from the data of an organization and optimizes the GRC programs, what you have in place. And it looks at the, if you will, the assessments you're performing, the control tests you're performing, to see how many of those are duplicative, how many of those are redundant, or how many of those are not being performed, and what is the right schedule you should be performing those. That's where the power of Aspire comes in, and we worked with half a dozen companies and piloted it based on taking their input and based on their input and their experience, if you will, and trained the model, and the results came out much more positively than we anticipated. And in our estimate, it can reduce or improve the productivity by at least 30%, right off the bat. So that's the kind of power AI is giving us or enabling us, these models that we have built. This didn't happen overnight. We've been at it. We've been building these models for almost 2 years. And to give you further insights into Aspire, I'm going to invite Dr. Raghuram Srinivas. He's our head of products, and then followed by Joy. He's head of our engineering R&D, to give you more insights into Aspire and our Euphrates journey and the low-code, no-code capabilities, as well as the UI UX refresh. Thank you. Raghu? Okay.
All right. Hey, folks. This is Raghu Srinivas. I head up product management and innovations here at MetricStream. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. And like Pat said earlier, right? It's good to see everybody in 3D outside of those Zoom calls. Now, in my role as a product owner, this room for me is a practical gold mine, right? So you all are GRC domain experts. And you'll see me and my team here all over you in the next 2 days, trying to figure out and validate some of the product ideas that we have. But there's also another reason why I'm happy to be here in this room. We all have to admit, right? So this is June in Miami. We all are a bit overdressed. I'd rather be here in this room with people that are as overdressed as I am, as opposed to sticking out in the lobby. So thank you. So folks, working at MetricStream, we're very fortunate to work with several reputed brands as our customers. Now, Here is an anecdote of one such a large organization that I want to share with you guys here. Right? Now, this anecdote is from a large global bank, a bank that has got about 500 plus GRC professionals performing more than 10,000 risk and control tests on an annual basis. Now, when you look at it, right, you'll further look into the data over the last many years, you see that these control tests have overwhelmingly passed. About 95% of those control tests come out as a success, right? So everything is doing great when you look at the control test. But then this belies some of the other contradicting factors that we see on the ground. The very fact that this a bank is still subjected to regulatory fines. It is still subjected to several lawsuits, and there are pockets of customer complaints that we see pointing to maybe some systemic issues. Now, the CRO, or the sponsor of our project there, had these specific questions. Questions around what is it that the team spends most of their time testing, right? So are there duplicate orphan controls that they end up testing? I mean, the 10,000 tests that are happening, why then do we have all these other issues? So that's one issue, right? One question. Now, are we testing the right controls, and are these controls in effect effective, right? Are they duplicate, are they orphan? Are there patterns of over testing and under testing, right? So are we not testing some of those more critical business processes or some processes which have undergone some more recent change? And the other question is when to test these things, right? So the other important question is, hey, with every signal that's coming out, this could be as issues or risk events or losses, are we factoring all of these into account before we figure out when exactly to test something? Now, when we started looking at these questions, trying to figure out answers to these questions, we also interviewed several of our other customers, and unequivocally, every single customer we spoke to had these exact same questions. Now, that's where we come to why all of this is happening, right? Now, as Prasad said earlier, now the traditional GRC tools so far have always been workflow based. They do a very good job in telling you how to do something, right? So how to do your control tests, or how to do your risk assessment, or how to have your policies and get those attested. But some of the other elements of GRC, which is what to test, what are those exact controls that need to be tested, and when to test those controls, those are not being addressed by these tools. Now, it is in this context that we are very proud to offer MetricStream Aspire, our innovative AI-based solution that helps answer these two critical questions, right? On what are those controls that have to be tested, and when these controls should be tested. Now, as you can see, Aspire is able to work across various functions of GRC, enterprise operational risk, regulatory compliance, HR, IT, cyber, internal audit, what have you. Look at the process risk control libraries, which is your GRC landscape. Look at the control assessments, the historical tests, and also look at signals coming from issues or observations or risk events, what have you, and try to answer these two questions, the questions of what controls have to be tested and when these have to be tested. Now, the way we've architected this, thanks to Joy and his wonderful team here, is in such a way that this Aspire product could be plugged on top of any GRC tool and still produce the same sort of answers that we just talked to, answers to the questions that I referred to here. Now, in the next few minutes, I do want to spend some time giving you all a preview of the product. Now, we have another demo session planned for later this afternoon, and we'll be walking around, so please do feel free to come talk to us if you have any specific questions about this product. Now, when it comes to AI-centric systems, a lot of product companies are in fact launching several AI knowledge-centric systems. Now, there is one element which can go out of hand very quickly, which we want to call death by data, right? So, whatever systems that you eventually produce that the end users interact with has to have a very intuitive interface, an interface which helps the end user ask questions of the data and get relevant answers and get those answers in real time. Now, you'll see here a preview of our Aspire product. Now, this product, like I said, sits on top of any GRC platform, is able to look into the GRC landscape, run its diagnostics, and produce its outcomes in form of three specific items, right? So one is the analytics, insights, and recommendations. Now, we also have provided an easy to use interface in the sense that you could actually ask questions in natural language and get the relevant answers that you need. Now, in this case, the question that's being obviously asked is what are all those failed controls across different tiers? Now, you get these answers, and you are also able to generate out of the box. We also generate some of the insights that go with it automatically. Now, another area that was alluded to was in terms of patterns of duplicate and redundant controls. Now, as you work with our large enterprise customers, we see that these are large organizations. There are several lines of businesses. And over time, these lines of businesses start adding their own controls. And very quickly, there are all these siloed operations that go on. Now, there is a need to rationalize this for multiple reasons, right? One is to know that we are being efficient in terms of the testing that happens. And also, there is consistency and standardization in terms of the tests that happen. Now, it is for this reason, this product also has what we call as a control canvas, where the risk managers can look at the entire control landscape, look at how the controls have evolved over time, what is the level of redundancy of controls, whether these are redundant or duplicate controls within the same line of business or across line of businesses. And we also, using AI technology, are able to group them based on themes. In addition to that, we obviously provide recommendations on what the users have to do. Let's say if these are controls that are duplicate within the same org, as is the case here, we are providing these recommendations on having the users or the risk managers club these together and drop these duplicate controls. Now, another important aspect that we've alluded to so far, right, is the question of when. When do we test something? Now, historically, we've seen a lot of these control tests get scheduled a priori, and they keep running on a scheduled basis. Now, the efforts that we've seen in most organizations in trying to figure out or look into signals and then perform these tests are also very spaghetti, and there is no standard process around it. Now, it's for this reason we've also provided capabilities around what we call a signals canvas, which is essentially an area where the end users can look at all the signals that are coming out from the GRC environment, the front line, and even the customer base. This could include the customer complaint, this could include regulatory changes, or even frontline observations, or it could even be issues that are being reported by audit. And we look at these issues, we categorize, prioritize them based on the severity of these issues, and also figure out if these issues are occurring because of weaknesses that we see in the process, in the controls, or if these are occurring because there are no controls, or in other words, there is a lack of control coverage in these areas. Now, here are a few examples where you see a bunch of these issues, which are all related to flood and appraisal procedures. And this was a case for a particular customer where the element of flood and appraisal procedures, the control to deal with it was weak, and it had over time resulted in multiple issues being reported across different areas or different lines of businesses, right, across their retail bank, or it could be across their commercial real estate bank as well. Now, everything that I've said so far eventually culminates into this one thing, right, which is what we call as the auto-recommended test plan. Now, out of the box, we provide 3 different optimization strategies for customers to get an automated test plan delivered to them. Now, these optimization strategies could be a very conservative approach to a moderate to an aggressive approach. Now, with each of these optimization strategy, we are able to tell the customer what are those levels of duplicate controls that they can potentially rationalize. One is rationalizing the controls, and the second piece is rationalizing the control test frequency, right, which is answering the very important question of when something has to be tested. Now, as you can see in this case, for this particular customer example, you see from, we're showing data from 2018 to 2021, and you see over that time, the number of control tests had gradually risen up. Now, at 2021, they were at about 4,000 control tests that were being performed. Now, with a tool like ours, we're able to go back and check on what they did in 2022 versus what our tool recommended. We're able to drop the number of control tests by about 25% without impacting their risk coverage. Now, here is an example of how that control test plan looks in the system. Now, for this particular example where for a personal banking line of business, we are providing two recommendations. Recommendations for retesting a couple of controls. Retesting because we looked at the signals and something in the signal told us that, hey, there is something that is happening, either a control failure or a lack of control, hence go about testing this. And here is another example where we are asking the customer to optimize. So this control, which is under the optimize section, was being tested 4 times a year. But then when we looked at historically what had happened in the control, there were no material changes to the business processes around this particular control. And these have been consistently successful, not just in this LOB, but in some of the other LOBs as well. So we feel we could, without much risk, drop the frequency, control test frequency by 50% in this case for this particular control. Now again, all of this is very configurable across the 3 strategies that I alluded to. The customers are able to configure different factors, configure and test out these factors to the best of their liking, and deploy this into production. And again, like I said, we have another detailed demo of this product later this afternoon. Now, this is what in a sense you get from a product like Aspire, right? So for this particular anecdotal customer experience, we were at a situation where this customer had about 3,000 plus controls. With the use of Aspire in the early beta testing mode, we were able to drop the number of controls by about 20 to 40%. We have reduced the number of control tests as well, and all of this without compromising on their risk coverage or the risk outlook. Now, folks, I can stand here and talk with a lot of pride about this product that we have developed, but all of this is because of this wonderful cloud platform that this gentleman here, Joy Bhaumik, my partner in crime, the head of R&D, and his wonderful team has built. So I'll invite Joy here to talk through the advancements and products.
So thank you, Raghu, and Joy Bhaumik. I head up the R&D, the research and development. I'm under a lot of pressure now. The way Raghu presented, I really have to now beat that expectation, which is going to be extremely hard. But we are very proud at this point that with 14 plus years of our experience, that we have been able to build out a very strong platform. And the secret sauce here is that there's each and every GRC foundational objects which has been built out, right, over the period of years with immense amount of knowledge, your knowledge. All of you have participated and actually handcrafted each of these objects. How does it look like? What is the relationship between the objects? Whether there should be hierarchical, where there's a secondary relationship. All of that has been plugged into, that knowledge has been plugged into the platform itself, right? And that gives you the whole power of building out business GRC, cyber GRC, and ESGRC. So we talk about connected GRC, and we are only game in the town which talks about connected GRC, and the reason being is we as a company, we understand what is risk management. We also understand what is the difference between a reactive risk management versus a proactive risk management. And this is how we have built out our product, and every day we are adding more and more features to it just to make sure that ensure that human knowledge, we are talking about artificial knowledge, but the human knowledge is also very important, right? And that has been acquired over the period of years, and that led us to build out the whole platform as such. Now the platform talks about reporting, talks about user interface, talks about artificial intelligence, talks about relationship between the objects, but we have actually moved on from relational databases to more graphical databases. We are bringing in not only the relationship, but we are bringing the context of the relationship, which is where the world is transforming, saying, well, in this particular context, in natural language, you can ask that question and we will tell you which controls are important, which risk is important, how are they related, and what actions to be taken, right? And that is where we are bringing in this whole Aspire powered by graph database, which we're calling as the ontology, which has been built out, the risk ontology, which again is applicable in different areas of risk management, right? So in order to get there, we are a product-led SaaS company, right? And it's a lot of buzzword, which hyperscale. And simply what it means is we take a concept from you, from the market, we develop the MVP, right? We test out the MVP with selective customers, and then we transform that to a concept which is called, product market fit. And that basically tells us, well, we do have a target audience here, which allows us to test this, the feature in the broader market, and that becomes a valid feature. Now, the way we do it, it is a repetitive process. It's an agile process. We do not compromise on security. We do understand there's an agility which is needed, right? And that is why we encourage everybody to be on the latest and the greatest version of the product, because the platform itself is actually bringing those into the core, right? How do you bring in the agility? And the most important part, which everybody will love, is that it is getting tested. It is getting tested repeatedly, right? So we have this A/B concept where we can actually build a feature, we can deploy it, we can test it for certain customers, see if it works, we deploy it widely, right? And that how is it being done? Again, cloud allows us to do it, right? So we had made a lot of investment into the platform as such. The low-code, no-code has been one such initiative, right? And simply put, what it means is all this validation logic, all these business rules, right? Today, we do not have to write, complicated code. It's written almost like an English-like interface, right, which one can easily understand, right? And that is coming out of the box. Now, if that is not enough, we understand, right? We can extend all of these objects, which is called upgrade safe extension, right? As you extend that, you bring in the business knowledge into that, right? And then you have the workflows, which is also AI powered. Now, before you put the AI on top of it, it also allows you to actually build out certain rules and say, well, based on certain events, this is how the workflow should operate, right? And those rules can be hand-coded, can be input into the system, or it can actually come from the AI model itself. And that's how we say it's an AI-powered, right, workflow. At the end of the day, you're getting to a point where this product will tell you what to be done next. You do not have to go and trigger a risk assessment. You do not have to go and trigger certain reports to see what's going on in part of the organization. So you have a simple dashboard which will actually tell you all of that, right? So the low-code, no-code allows you to have upgrade safety. You'll have the scalability as well as the same business logic, right, is getting used to ensure that when you're uploading bulk data into the system, the same validation kicks in. You do not have to write a special validation for that, right? So now in today's world, we also understand that our product has to coexist with other products, right? So what we have done is we have exposed all of these business APIs. There's over 300 APIs today, and it's growing. It's showing 200 on the slide, but it's growing by day. We are building this API in such a way that this can be called from outside. It can be called by your homegrown system. It can be called by other products. It is well published. It's cataloged. It has a proper interface to it, right? So the crux of this problem here is we want to make it upgrade safe. We want all of you to be on the latest and the greatest platform, right? The cost of the upgrades, the time taken to do the upgrades has been significantly getting reduced, right? And we also have been taking a special care in terms of reducing the complexity and hence reducing the lines of code, right? That's what comes out of the box for low-code, no-code. Now, all of this knowledge is actually published on our website, and we can help you to find it, right? It has a proper guidelines. It has proper documentations. It has all these are REST APIs, if you want to be a little bit technical, and it can be all called from outside, right? So we understand as other technology companies are coming up with the AR, VR glasses, and they're talking about virtual reality. We really need to transform our user interface, right, to a point where we can easily find your data, find your, the knowledge. Where is the knowledge sitting? Well, what do I need to do next? So we have invested a lot in terms of transforming our user experience, the customer experience, bringing the new framework, as well as doing a lot of market research in terms of how does one interact with the system, right? So it's almost a UX engineering lab which we have set up, where we actually constantly keep adjusting the user experience. And that is what is coming out in the Euphrates 2 release, or Euphrates release in March, which will be adopted by all product lines, right? Which will give you an enhanced user experience as well as the visualization of the data. So the screen will start popping up some of the screens. And again, this is just a certain aspects of the product, but this is again being widely adopted across all product lines. And again, this is coming out in March. So with that, I'll invite back Prasad on the stage. Thank you.